Welcome back, everyone. Today we'll be taking a deep dive into the life and work of Gabriel Fauré,
A French composer.
a French composer, that's right. Now, he might not be as instantly recognizable as, say, Debussy or Ravel, but as we'll discover, his influence on the development of music, let's just say it's undeniable.
It really is.
And through this deep dive, we're going to try to piece together not just the timeline of his life, but also, I suppose, the elements that made his music so distinctive, so quietly revolutionary, you might say.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to put it. Quietly revolutionary. Because you see, Fauré's story isn't quite one of those meteoric rises to fame or filled with these, dramatic artistic struggles. You know what I mean? It's more about, I think, quiet dedication, persistent work, and I think the profound influence of mentorship. And this, in turn, kind of rippled outwards and impacted generations of musicians who came after him.
That's interesting. So let's start at the beginning. He was born back in 1845 in a small town.
Small French town.
His musical talent was evident from a young age.
Oh, absolutely. It was significant enough to catch the attention of Louis Niedermeyer, very, very respected Swiss composer and teacher who had established this renowned music school in Paris.
Ah, I see. So Niedermeyer saw something special in the young Fauré.
He did, and brought him into his fold, essentially becoming this pivotal mentor during those formative years.
I mean, it really is fascinating, isn't it, just how these sorts of connections can so profoundly shape a person's trajectory. And it wasn't just Niedermeyer, was it?
No.
He also studied piano with another prominent figure in French music.
That's right, Camille Saint-Saëns.
Saint-Saëns.
Precisely. And Saint-Saëns, he sort of opened up this whole new world for Fauré. He introduced him to the music of, the likes of Liszt and Wagner.
Oh, wow.
Who were at the time considered quite radical. They were pushing boundaries, challenging the status quo. And I think, in a way, these influences planted the seeds for Fauré's own explorations in harmony and musical structure that would really come to define his later work.
That's really interesting. So we start to see these threads of influence already starting to come together.
Absolutely.
Now tell me, is it true that he published his first composition while he was still a student?
It is.
That's remarkable.
Des romances sans parole.
Romances sans parole. I mean, that just suggests such natural talent, doesn't it? Such promise.
It does, doesn't it? And indeed, Fauré's career unfolded, I think, with this series of impressive appointments.
Go on.
For instance, he became the organist at the Church of La Madeleine in Paris.
Oh, wow.
A very prestigious position.
And later, he took on a role that would allow him to, I guess, nurture the next generation of musical talent.
Exactly. He was appointed as a professor of composition at the Paris Conservatory.
The Paris Conservatory.
The Paris Conservatory. And under his tutelage,
some of his students
became absolute legends.
Speaking absolute legends in the world of music we're talking about.
We're talking Maurice Ravel.
Oh, wow.
Georges Enesco. Nadia Boulanger. I mean, these are names that, still resonate today.
They really do. So his impact as a teacher, I mean, that's pretty clear.
Profound, I would say.
And to top it all off, if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
he eventually went on to become the director of the Paris Conservatory. It's a real testament, isn't it?
It is.
To the respect and the esteem that he held within the musical community.
Absolutely. But I think it's time we move beyond the classroom, so to speak.
Out of the classroom into
the concert hall.
The concert hall.
And explore really the music that made Fauré stand out,
His compositions.
Exactly.
I mean, he was a prolific composer, wasn't he?
Oh, he was.
Over 100 songs, numerous chamber music pieces, piano works, nocturnes, barcarolles, impromptus. I mean, even orchestral pieces.
Yes, a very diverse and rich body of work.
It really is.
His songs are particularly beautiful, known for their subtlety and expressiveness.
So give us an example.
Après un rêve.
Après un rêve.
Which translates to After a Dream. It's a setting of a poem by Romain Boussine. And Fauré's music, it just captures this hazy, dreamlike quality so evocatively.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It is. Another one, another popular song is Les Roses d'Ispahan, inspired by Persian poetry.
Oh, interesting.
Filled with this sense of longing and an exotic beauty.
And of course, we can't forget his Requiem.
The Requiem.
Now, I understand it wasn't an immediate success upon its premiere.
It wasn't.
But it has, of course, gone on to become one of his most well-known and, I think it's fair to say, frequently performed work. So what is it about his style that makes him so unique?
There's this wonderful quote about Fauré's Requiem, and I think it really kind of summarizes his style well. It says, "It is dominated from beginning to end by a very human feeling of faith in eternal rest."
I like that.
There's this embrace of traditional forms, but there's this infusion of unexpected harmonic shifts and modulations.
Now, for those of us who aren't musically trained, what exactly are modulations?
Well, a modulation, it's basically a change in key within a piece of music. Think of it like shifting the colors in a painting.
Oh, I see.
It creates a different emotional landscape, so to speak.
Hmm.
And Fauré, he was a master of these subtle modulations, using them to create the sense of movement and depth within a seemingly simple structure.
Give us an example of that.
Well, in his Requiem, for instance, there's this moment where the choir, they softly sing in paradisum, and then the key changes ever so slightly, and suddenly there's this luminous, ethereal feeling.
Wow.
It's breathtaking.
So he kind of played within the rules, you might say, but he also bent them a little bit to create something new.
He did.
And that brings to mind this phrase I've read about in regards to his work, deceptive simplicity.
Precisely. It might sound very straightforward on the surface, but underneath there's this complexity, this sophistication that draws you in.
It's very clever.
He wasn't afraid to explore unusual chord progressions, which is the sequence of chords or harmonies, in a piece, but it's never jarring. It always feels very organic and elegant.
That's all very carefully considered, very deliberate.
It is. It is. He wasn't seeking to shock or disrupt, but rather to refine and evolve.
And in doing so.
Precisely. And in doing so, he really he paved the way, I think, for later French composers who took those innovations, even further. Debussy, Ravel. I mean, they built upon, I think, the foundation that Fauré laid.
So he was kind of a quiet revolutionary then, demonstrating that, I guess, profound change doesn't always require these grand sweeping gestures.
Exactly.
So Gabriel Fauré, a man whose life was so intricately interwoven with music, from his humble beginnings to his prestigious positions, he never stopped learning, teaching, composing.
Never.
And his music, this beautiful, I guess, unique blend of tradition and innovation, well, it continues to resonate with audiences over a century later.
It really is a testament to the power of subtle artistry.
To the enduring impact of
A quiet revolutionary who dared to push boundaries, but within, this framework of elegance and restraint.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. And it leaves us with this thought.
Mm-hmm.
If Fauré's, these subtle shifts in harmony could so profoundly reshape the landscape of music, well, what seemingly small innovations in our own time might be laying the groundwork for revolutions that we can't even begin to fathom yet. It's a fascinating question to ponder, I think.
It is.
As we listen to the beautiful and thought-provoking music of Gabriel Fauré.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.
It's been a pleasure.
Goodbye.